folks, I think this is exciting news. I, for one, being the Canadian, Canada, am very excited to see our boy, one of the greatest Canadian athletes of all time, compete not back in the UFC cage, but on the UFC mat for the UFC Fight Pass Invitational. That is right. George St-Pierre is coming back to compete in grappling. Now, we do not know who his next opponent is going to be, and that's kind of going to be the main topic of this next segment here. Who you think, his opponent realistically is going to be, and who are some of your reach options? Now, everyone obviously has thrown Khabib's name out there. George St-Pierre has already said it's not going to be Khabib Nurmagomedov. He hasn't even heard his name. Other names that have come up in conversation, Kamaru Usman being one of them, which I thought was interesting. A fighter who I think even George St-Pierre at the age of 42 years of age, given Usman's knees, given that Usman would be a good challenge because he still got that power, he still got that wrestling, he still got that takedown defense, but in the actual Jiu Jitsu department, I'd imagine that a GSP is a little bit of a higher level. That might be a good one. The fighter who I believe is going to get the bout and who is the best option, I will let you know in just one moment. Let's first check out some additional info on the matter. George St-Pierre will come back in December. There is a UFC Fight Pass Invitational 6 on December 14th. We just covered the UFC Fight Pass Invitational 4, which means there will be another one between now and December, which I am very excited for. Again, very excited for this one as well, folks. It's a grappling match. He's not back in the cage, but he is back on the mat. His next opponent, who I believe George St-Pierre will grapple with, is who's in the headline right here, and is the guy that he teased in his interview with Ariel Helwani on the MMA Hour, Nick Diaz. Now, he hinted that it could be either one of the Diaz brothers. Well, we all know that Nate Diaz, he's preparing to fight Jake Paul. He's training in boxing. His mind is not set on jiu-jitsu right now, even though he's a jiu-jitsu guy and that is his base. You could pump this event because, let's be honest, the hardcore jiu-jitsu fans, they ain't coming to see George St-Pierre grapple. They're coming to see some of the other young grapplers that they're following on the card, or some of the big names that are at the top co-headlining or headlining the event. They ain't coming for the George St-Pierres. But if you tease George St-Pierre, Nick Diaz, the rematch in grappling, where Nick Diaz basically found martial arts, where Nick Diaz built his base around, as funny as that is, given how good of a and unique of a boxer and brawler he is, Omoplata King, Pride veteran, UFC veteran, former Strikeforce champion Nick Diaz, who lost to George St-Pierre in the title fight. There was a lot going back there. GSP in his camp poisoned him. All you motherfuckers on steroids. I mean, I think that would be the perfect matchup for George St-Pierre, given where they both are in their careers. Nick Diaz, just shy of 40 years old now. Whether he ever fights in the UFC again, I don't know. He might. Do we really want to see it? No. Regardless, this might be perfect. I would be more excited to see Nick Diaz grapple with a George St-Pierre than fight right now in the octagon. Hell, folks, I've said this before. If George St-Pierre returned in grappling, Nick Diaz is the guy. And I even said before it was even into the UFC Fight Pass Invitationals, I was saying I would love to see Nick Diaz in this event versus, fighting again in MMA. GSP loses to a Russian wrestler easy. Great points. I think GSP and Kevin Lee might actually be competitive. I like that. Kevin Lee, that's an option too. Kevin Lee just announced his retirement from the UFC. Guy's a tremendous wrestler, still a great athlete. That could be a great matchup. Colby versus GSP just for the trash talk. Yeah, I saw that in the headline as well. You know what? I'm here for it. Nick would break GSP off. Again, George St-Pierre only has 6 submissions. He did say he competed in ADCC back. Yeah, here it is. He lost to Leonardo Santos in ADCC back in 2005. But he even admitted that he hadn't competed in ADCC for years. Yeah, he loved those arm bars. Yeah, Matt Hughes, Kimura. Who do you think are the best options for George St-Pierre? Isha versus iDubbbz when? Hey, if he wants a chance to win back his money, I'll help sell some pay-per-views. Let's go, baby. Connor. What's imagine if Connor and George St-Pierre were the co-main event for a grappling match. It would be a shit event, but the amount of views that this event would get would be amazing. All right, to summarize though, Nick Diaz, I predicted this. I wanted to see this. I was talking about him being the most ideal opponent right when this was announced. Hell, even a few months ago, I wanted to see Nick Diaz in the UFC Fight Pass Invitational anyways, and I feel like he's better suited for that. I think that would be the most ideal opponent. I think that's the best option. I do ultimately think that is the opponent who we will see George St-Pierre face at the UFC Fight Pass Invitational 6 in December. Other names, Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman, Conor McGregor. I mean, it's a reach, but hey, someone commented that as well. Anderson Silva as a potential grapple. You know what? I like that. Anderson Silva for George St-Pierre. I like that. Damian Maia, Vitor Belfort, Anderson Silva. Great names to potentially bring in the UFC Fight Pass Invitational against GSP. Now you're just being mean. Matt Serra. That would be amazing too. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments as well. Or Robbie Lawler. That would be great. What about good old Johnny Hendricks? Could even make weight. I mean, they don't test in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu though. Johnny Hendricks, dude, avenging his 2013 loss. How old is the big rig? He's 39. If he could even, if they agree for it to be an open weight bout, and Johnny Hendricks doesn't have to be tested for the steroids, then we're good, baby. We're good. Only one submission victory. Oh my goodness. That's so funny that one of the most decorated wrestlers in Johnny Hendricks just 8 KO TKOs, which was a wrecking ball machine. He's fought in bare knuckle. Oh my goodness. And not even BKFC World Bare Knuckle. Okay, I know this is a big reach as well, but Johnny Hendricks, I think there's more of a chance we'll see Johnny Hendricks than a Conor McGregor. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. We'll continue to keep tabs on not only the UFC Fight Pass Invitational 6 that will be featuring George St-Pierre, but also on the next UFC Fight Pass Invitational, Fury Pro Grappling, and other grappling events that the UFC helps promote. We love watching them on this channel. We love hosting fight companions for them, so stay tuned. And don't forget to like and subscribe.